Greetings, GameCola faithful, and welcome to the GameCola podcast. This is podcast number 185, coming to you in 2025, and whatever happened to the HTC Vive? I'm your host and podcast commander, Joseph Martin, joined by...
Hi, I'm Anna Bryniarski, and I have no idea. I would never take the HTC Vive and destroy it. All of it. All of them.
I'm Blu Ryder, and I think it got taken or beat out of the market by the Meta Quest something. Is that correct?
I don't know, but I'm James Pelster, and I prefer the Valve Index.
That's my favorite thing to invest in. My favorite stock ticker, the Valve Index.
The Valve Index. Also, I need to say, Joe, you had me really worried there for a second, thinking that for the intro thing you were gonna rhyme you were gonna rhyme 5 with 5, and I was about to be very upset with you.
I mean, you gotta feel it. The spirit of the number joke moves you. This is like something you have to learn if you want to run podcasts. It just moves through you. And it's not always about rhyming. Sometimes it's about context. Sometimes it's about, hey, the podcast number ends in 5, and this is the first time that it's going to be a year that ends in 5. Well,
it is the first time a year has ever ended in 5.
Well, so there was a year that ended in the digit 5, but not the word 5, because it was 15.
Yeah.
So this is the first year that ends in the word 5. And, that was a coincidence that couldn't go unmentioned. But, as you said, James, the rhyme still has to finish it, right? That's the important part. But other information can be included. This is the complexity of the number joke. You guys always give me crap for the number joke.
Yeah.
You always give me credit, but bad credit.
I do have to give you
300, 50. What's the lowest credit you can have? It's not 0.
It's like
I don't know. I keep mine. I just prefer. Listen, it's just best for it to be higher. You know, we give you.
All I know is that mine's not high enough to invest in the Valve Index. Video games. It's the future of video games.
Wow.
It's currently the future right now. That's why I made a VR joke too. See, it all loops in back on itself, just like the future. How every 10 years the year ends in the same number. Isn't that weird?
Wild.
Video game. We're in the future of video games. We're thinking about the future, partly because we're in that period after the big game season of the late fall, where they wanted us to buy all those games for Christmas and associated holidays where gift giving is involved. But they haven't told us about the new game, because no one does anything in January. January is just where media goes to die. It's we have to put it somewhere, but we don't actually want anyone to watch it or play it, so we're going to release it in January. So no one's told us about the new games yet. The only information we have gotten is a tweet that I saw from the Game Awards. I think maybe James retweeted it or posted it. That was about the Switch. Nintendo, the Game Awards said that Nintendo said that they're going to tell us about the Switch 2 by the end of March, which means they're going to tell us about the Switch 2 in March.
Yeah, that was John Rizzi, by the way.
Okay.
Yep,
I couldn't remember who said or posted. Was it on Discord?
Yeah, it was.
Must have been on the GameCola Discord that you can attend and view.
And the
at
links
your leisure.
work.
The links work, thanks to James.
Yep. They were only not working for who knows how long.
Yeah. Here's the big question. Is it the Nintendo Tooch?
No.
The Nintendo
No.
Switch?
No. It's not.
It's the Nintendo Swap if it does well, and it's the Nintendo Flop if it doesn't.
Ooh,
the Nintendo
I like it.
Switchu? With Switchu?
The Nintendo
Switch
Switcheroo.
Ooh,
That's
I like
not
that.
bad.
That's actually good. That's one peg above Wii U, which I think is the sweet spot. Wii U was not enough, but it was kind of the flavor. Because this is the thing, too. We're all calling it the Switch 2. Because we're just saying it's going to be like the Switch, but a little bit different. Because, that's the pattern, right? There's NES, Super NES. There's the Nintendo 64, which was just a console. And then there was the GameCube, which was just a console, but it's a cube.
No.
Then there was the Wii, which was a weird motion control thing. And then there was the Wii U, which was the weird motion control thing and also a weird gamepad control thing. And now we've got the Switch. And so the pattern is just going to be, it's going to be the Switch too. We don't talk about the Virtual Boy, it doesn't count.
We're also not talking about how the Wii was basically just a GameCube, but with motion controls.
But it was a different form factor and like a different presentation.
It's true. That's
like
true.
The Nintendo 64, and I feel like the Nintendo 64 and the GameCube are much more similar to each other than the GameCube and the Wii are similar.
In terms of what?
In terms of like a form factor and presentation.
Okay, I'm okay with that. I was gonna say, like, in terms of about anything else, I would disagree with you. But all right, I guess I can see. I think the GameCube is just kind of a weird outlier, and also like it's
I don't think the GameCube's any more of an outlier than the Nintendo 64.
Well, the Nintendo Wii is actually, I mean, the Nintendo Wii and the Nintendo GameCube are both very sort of angular geometric designs, which I guess is the closest similarity would actually be the Nintendo Entertainment System, because that is also just very, like, kind of squarish, cubish, geometric, hard angle design.
Yeah, but I feel like I don't know if that was as much a Wii thing as more of a 2000s thing. Because, like, the PS3 was the same way. It was a weird, slightly slanted box.
No, the PS3 was this big curved thing.
Oh, no, that was the curved one. I think I'm thinking of the PS4.
Yes, the PS4 was the wedge.
Didn't we used to call a Wii a Wi-Fi router? I feel like we did that.
I've never heard it called that, but now that you call it that, I think that's very funny, and I can see where you get that.
One of them, actually, no, it's the PS5 also looks like a Wi-Fi router. That's what it was.
Yeah, and then the Xbox Series X looks like a fridge, and to the point that they made a fridge.
Gun to my head, I don't know what a modern Xbox looks like. I just imagine a black rectangle.
That is exactly what it is. The Xbox Series X is just it's just a big black box. And
so we've got this Nintendo Switch 2 coming out. There have been people who have said that there are leaks. I have not looked at them because, like, maybe they're right, but so were all the other people who said that they're going to be, and then they're just going to tell us eventually. So if you have your future premonitions that you got from the internet, fine. But I want to circle back. We've made Switch 2 predictions a couple of times, I feel like. Mine has been that the basic form factor of the Switch is pretty much ideal. I can't really see the benefit in changing it so much. The thing that I would want is a better, an upgrade in the technology. Bring the technology up by whatever 7 years it needs to go up by. And then a better TV, like non-handheld experience. I think that's where I feel like the room for improvement, where there is spacious. You know what I mean? Like, do we need a dock? I don't know if we really need a dock. I wonder, I want to put my Switch in, like, a VCR tape.
But if we don't have a dock, what happens if it gets injured?
No, I think it's more like the fishing one.
And I also, if it doesn't have a dock, so are we just saying that we just plug it directly into like HDMI to hook it up to the TV, because we need some way to hook it up to an external display.
So when I say no dock, and I've said this before, but what I mean more is that, like, the thing that connects the Switch to the TV doesn't need to be like as portable and lightweight as the dock is. It can still be like a thing that, like, you put the Switch into physically, but I don't think it needs to be like portable, right? Like, I feel like you lose a lot because it has to be like this really lightweight portable thing. But like, I never take my dock anywhere. It just sits next to the TV the whole time. And so just if you can make it better by just making the dock a big black box that's beefier, then maybe that's the thing to look into.
Well, at the same time, though, like, I don't know how much So I guess some of the things I've heard, so I have seen some of the leaks, and I actually do have something to say about one of the leaks if you want. I know you were saying, you haven't seen any of it, and
I'm
I
not
can...
avoiding spoilers.
Okay.
I'm just not interested in pursuing them if I'm not sure that they're real.
Right.
There's no point in me believing the wrong thing
Right.
on purpose.
Right, I just have more of a
So if
side
someone
commentary
tells me,
on
that's
some of
fine.
I have commentary on the commentary around the leaks. But anyway, but as far as the dock goes, I've heard some speculation that people were thinking, well, maybe if the dock had more power, it had actually its own set of hardware in there, that it could do some kind of upscaling, hardware-based upscaling, similar to, the kinds of stuff that modern graphics cards can do, which is like the super sampling, like the DLSS, deep learning super sampling, whether it's machine learning or something else, to upscale the image or do frame generation or something like that to improve the video experience. And I think that would be cool, but I would be concerned about, again, how would you link those two things together, and what would be the latency involved in doing so, because there's already had to be technology put in place in graphics cards to counteract the latency of trying to generate new frames or to upscale an image. Generally, by doing it in hardware, that helps. But these are all discrete devices that the thing that generates the video signal and then does the upscaling is one device, and everything's interconnected. To have the Switch produce a video signal that is sent through some kind of dock into another box that does the upscaling, I feel like would be more prone to technical limitations that would limit how useful or effective it could be at doing cool things.
Yeah,
If
I
that
mean,
makes
that's
sense.
fair. I mean, it's just like, I'm not saying that I know how to do it. I'm just saying, and, that method, I understand the faults that you're kind of poking in that particular version of it. But, like, I just think that is the main experience that could be changed to be better. The Switch dock, I feel like, is the worst part of the Switch experience for me, to the point that I just basically don't plug it into the TV anymore. And if something could be innovated there, I think that would be, like, if you were to make something that wasn't just like Switch but with consequently updated hardware, that would be, I think, the main point of attack, to change it and to make it feel as, different as like the Wii U, at least, right? Like, otherwise it's just, I feel like we're going to be kind of let down if this is more like DS Lite to DSi. You know what I mean? Like, it's basically the same thing, but like a little, like,
Well,
what if they are they going to put a camera in the Switch? Is that going to be the innovation?
I see that's what some of the rumors have been speculating, because they saw a new button that is labeled what we think says C, and so people are thinking it's a camera button, which,
But we
based
already
on its
have a camera
position,
button.
well, no, as in like an actual camera, not screenshot. But see, the thing is, based on, again, all of the things that we've heard, like the DSi compared to the DS and DS Lite, the hardware there is still almost identical. Like, the actual hardware differences and upgrades are almost negligible for like the games that it has. Like, yes, there were some DSi specific games, but my understanding is the processor inside the DSi is the same thing as in the DS Lite. It just has a slightly
Okay.
better OS and maybe a little bit
Maybe
more RAM.
better comparison. 3DS, new 3DS.
Okay, I could see
It needs to
that.
be, the Switch 2 needs to be more of an improvement over the Switch than the new 3DS was over the 3DS. Or we're all just going to be like, okay, so we're still just doing the Switch for another, like, the Switch, that's just going to, we're just going to feel like, that would just feel like the Switch existed for a decade.
It needs to be a generational improvement, not an incremental improvement.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like if we're going to wait this long for it, then, like, let's do something cool with it. You
Right.
know, if we're gonna have all this pomp and circumstance about it.
Yeah, and especially well, I mean, and part of that isn't even Nintendo's fault. It's, the internet's fault for hyping this thing up for so long. But obviously, it has been a long time. And again, based on the leaks, again, so the most recent leak that I saw, which was saying, okay, we have high resolution photographs of the Nintendo Switch 2 motherboard, which shows the actual specific chip powering the whole thing. And they were saying, oh, based on this product ID and such, this is, 2018 technology. And they're saying, oh, this is a huge blow to the Switch. They're saying this means bad battery life and performance. And I'm like, wasn't the original Nintendo Switch built off of like a 2013 piece of processing, and it doesn't have the greatest battery life or performance? Like, I find it fascinating that people are going, oh no, the Switch 2 is going to be terrible. It's going to have bad performance and battery life. And I go, have you not ever used the Nintendo Switch as it is currently? Yes, the newer models have better battery life, but the whole thing about the Switch is that the performance is not stellar, and the battery life, at least on the launch models, is not very good either. But they managed to squeeze a lot out of an underpowered console. So if we're now using hardware that's 5 years newer, 4 or 5 years newer, there can still be generational improvements while also still embracing the underpowered hardware that you squeeze the most out of. So
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
mean,
It'll be interesting.
it's always been like it's not gonna be a PS5 in your hands,
Right. I think
right?
some
Like, I mean,
people
the
were
Switch
hoping.
itself was like not even like really a Wii U in your hands. It was kind of close. I
I
guess
think it was about
2013
the
chip
same.
also.
Like a lot of, I think several games that were on both systems run better on Switch. But why? I mean, the whole topic of
I mean,
game
that's probably just
performance
because
is
they had
complicated.
like an extra cycle of optimization for the port. I would bet more than like the underlying. I mean,
Well,
maybe
but
there's some
like
better
Breath of the
underlying
Wild,
technology in there too.
yeah, but like Breath of the Wild, I think it runs. I believe it is runs better on Switch than it does on Wii U, and that could also be because that game was already pushing the boundaries of the Wii U, and that's one of
Yeah,
the
I have a
reasons they
feeling
made
that
it like
game was
that.
made for the Switch, and they were like, "Will you like?" Or by the time it was gonna, they decided what they were gonna do with it. It was going to be on the Switch, and then like, well, we still have this like Wii U version that we've been supporting, so we'll like get that over the hump,
Mm-hmm.
and just release it on both. But I have a feeling that it was target. I'm not saying that there could be no, but I don't know if I know enough to say definitively which explanation makes the most sense.
Yeah, it's complicated. And the other thing is that, like, despite all of these leaks, I don't think we've actually seen any footage of games running or heard any definitive statement about how do things run. Can you, like, they've said that it will be backwards compatible, but how is it backwards compatible? Is it like, playing, cuz the thing about the new 3DS that's a little disappointing is that it has better power. The like the processor, or I forget if it's the CPU or the GPU, can be sped up to something like 3 times faster than the base 3DS, and it has more RAM and cache. But original 3DS games that aren't specifically marked as, to use that capability, can't use it unless you're using, homebrew software and you've modified your console, in which case all games can utilize it. And I find that frustrating because although the gains from it are generally very minimal, as it turns out, it does improve things slightly, but it's very minimal improvement. I feel like if you have this power here, why don't you use it? And so I hope that at the very least they'll let you like run games at a higher resolution, or just use some aspect of the better hardware to improve existing games rather than just leaving them how they are.
Anna,
Hi.
Blue, what are your hopes and dreams for the Nintendo Switch?
I would really like better battery life because I have one of the newer Switches and it's still just not a lot of time I can play unless I am actively going to put in the charger or in the dock, which I also do not use the dock very often, and only really use it if I'm playing a Just Dance or a game with my friends.
Blue?
I think, I hope they do something interesting that I'm not expecting, because I don't expect them to, but it's always fun when they do.
That's fair.
I want some genius to look at the Switch and be like, there is a cool thing that no one else has thought of that I can do to make this better. Because I don't know how
Yeah.
else you improve on it, and I'd like to be proven wrong.
Yeah, I want it to be something other than just like better hardware, right? Like, I'll take it. I'll still probably get one, even if that's the case, unless it's like new 3DS territory. But I'd really like there to be some interesting, better thing that's sort of changed to the whole setup of it. Other things about the future. New video games. I know that there's a new Pokemon game that's basically confirmed to be for the Switch, or for the Switch 2. But I don't really know of a whole lot of other upcoming 2025 video games. Is there anything on your guys' radar?
I haven't really thought of it. Let me actually look and see what I have on my wish list.
Let me use my brain.
Let me use my big brain that I do have.
Your cerebral cortex.
I am a very smart person.
Your medulla oblongata.
So I'm looking at my my Steam wish list, and some that I'm seeing is there's a game called Tiny Bookshop that I'm looking forward to. There's an Alchemist Shop simulator, Paralives, which if you've heard about, if you've heard Leaf talk
if you've
about
listened
it,
to select episodes of the GameCola
I
podcast.
thought that was the one that got canceled.
Paralives is not the one that got canceled.
Oh,
Paralives is still
one
going. But that one has a release date of 2025, so here's hoping. Blue posted a game called Music Power Up a little while ago that I've added.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that one.
It looks really good, so I'm hoping that comes out soon. I'm very excited. But that's
So Paralyzed is like a Sims competitor,
yes.
kind of. I mean, like, it's sort of like a Stardew Valley take on Sims, not in the sense that it's going to be like the video game Stardew Valley, but it's going to be like, hey, you like this kind of video game.
Here it is
but
again.
Like the main people who make this kind of video game aren't doing a good job, so I'm going to try it back to basics. And then like you go back to basics and then like update it yourself to modern sensibilities and get like a different setup. And then what's this music game?
Okay, so you play as a video game music composer, and you actually make music in, like, it has a DAW basically in the game, and then you actually put that music on the games in the game that are releasing, and then you can play those games with your music on it. So there's like a story mode basically, and it's neat. I am excited.
Is Marvel Rivals out?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like out, or is it like pre-alpha, alpha, beta, and like, will we be able to vote for it in the GameCola 2024 video game
It
awards?
is officially fully out as of December 6th, 2024.
Okay. Because sometimes it's weird. Games are weird about this. Leaf has been playing a update to an MMO update sequel called Path of Exile.
Oh yeah.
Fittingly named Path of Exile 2. But like it's not out technically, even though everybody's playing it. I don't understand. We've gotten kind of weird with the whole alpha beta thing. I only play Sigma video games.
Oh no.
Only video games that are in Sigma.
Vision.
Gross.
Gross.
James, what video games are you looking forward to?
Metroid Prime 4. Definitely.
Is it coming out in 2025?
It's supposed to be. According to the trailer, it didn't say when in 2025. The trailer just said 2025, and that's it.
What do you think the over-under is? James, tell me you know what over-under means. If you were betting on whether Metroid Prime would come out in 2024 or 2025, not 2024. That would be a
Yes.
bet. 2025.
Uh-huh.
And what you were actually doing is you were setting up the odds for people to bet. And you wanted it so that there was an equal chance of people making back their money, right? You put the center of the odds not at 50%, but at the chance that you think
It's
that
actually
the
going
thing
to come
is
out.
going to happen.
Okay, I get you.
So that's a seems like a simple concept, but instead of explaining it, you say what's the over under.
Right. I just felt like
It's a fancier way of saying what's the probability.
Yeah. Okay. I
But in
understand
a way where
now.
I'm like implying that people would be betting on it.
Right.
It's like flavor text.
Okay.
For a concept.
I think I
have I run this bit into the ground long enough for you to come up with an answer to the question?
80%.
Okay.
That is my prediction
math.
that it
Show
will
your work.
come out in.
Now you have
Show
to
your
do
math
the math
work on that.
I can't. This is an audio podcast.
You can do math in audio.
Well,
1
I
plus 1
can.
equals 2, James. Ooh.
I can't do betting odds math.
What's 4 plus 7, James?
12.
Okay, so we can't trust James's math.
We can't do math here.
Listen, I'm a computer science major, not a math major.
Isn't
This
that
is
math?
why I have to be trusted with the number joke at the beginning of every single podcast, because none of the rest of you can do math on the podcast.
I've never done math once in my life.
So there's...
Isn't saying once math,
No,
Anna?
it is not.
0 is a number.
No.
And so is once.
Mm-mm.
And tous?
You can't prove it.
There's probably a word for that. Twice. That's the word. Okay, so there is a game that is extremely important that is coming out in a few months. You may have heard around these parts about a little game called Danganronpa, or perhaps even a little game called Zero Escape, right? Yeah?
I've heard of
heard
those
of
two
those
things,
games.
yes.
So the two creators of both of those games, a while back, they left their original places and then they made their own company about this called 2Kyo Games, which means 2 crazy games. They're games that are too crazy, like we have seen from them. And their magnum opus that they have gone into debt to make, and if it does not succeed, they will give up and retire. So when April comes, everyone must buy the 100-line Last Defense Academy, or else I will never forgive you.
First of all, I think that was a tweet put out by either Kodaka or Uchikoshi, and also, like, some of their tweets are very much tongue-in-cheek, and I am under the impression that that tweet was meant to be tongue-in-cheek, because also, like...
Well, I'd prefer if you just bought it anyways, and were wrong.
The reason that I bring that
than...
up is I was gonna say, I actually have not played, like, I think... I don't know if I've actually played any of the games produced by that studio, because I got really burnt out on Danganronpa. And so I actually have not played any. Actually, I did play one of Kodaka's games after he left Spike Chunsoft. It was a game called Death Come True, and it was a full motion video interactive game.
Exactly.
That was actually really cool.
They have been doing things that are not just Danganronpa again.
Yes, that one was good. Although, however, Rain Code, the like Master Detective Archives, I think that's what it's called. That very much has the energy of Danganronpa with it, and so does this 100-line Defense Academy game.
Well,
they very like. I very much feel like they have the same energy as Danganronpa in a lot of places, and so I have not felt. I don't doubt that they are good games. I just personally have not felt super compelled to buy them or play them or watch them.
I can't believe you're gonna let Kodaka starve to death because you hate Danganronpa and you hate me and my dreams.
I'm sorry. My intention is not to be like, "Oh, this game sounds dumb and I'm not interested." I just wanted to give my perspective on because I don't know, it's one of those things where I just feel like I'm in this phase of my life where those I don't know. It's more a question about my enjoyment of games and how it's changed over time, not to diss your excitement or interest in the game.
You
Anyway,
heard it
if that
here
makes
first.
sense.
James hates Blue.
That's what I'm hearing, yeah.
I reject this statement. This is untrue. I just need to make it very
It's
clear.
unblue.
Huh?
You know what else is blue?
What?
Me
And
when
the
James
future.
lets these people die of starvation.
Mega
Mega Man.
Man.
Mega Man 12?
They
Is that a game you're
made-
looking forward to, Joe?
Yes, but that's not what I'm about to talk about.
Dang it. I wanted to
Secret
preempt your
Level.
segue. Oh.
Video game animation anthology series. They had a Mega Man episode. You want to know my thoughts on the Mega Man episode?
I
Of
heard it was
course we
bad.
do.
It's not a question.
Or
It's a
not
command.
the show was bad, not the episode.
I would say, given the constraints of the format, I'd say about an 8 out of 10. But just like as a piece of Mega Man media, like if you take into the account that they chose to put those limitations on it, I would say 6 out of 10. It's like 5 minutes long. Other episodes were longer than that, I'm pretty sure. I didn't watch any of the other ones because I was like, well, this would have been the peak for me. And it's like it's short, and it's not just like, oh, I wish it was longer, right? It's just that because it's short, you have to like chop out so much of it. Do you know what I mean? How did anybody else watch this?
I don't know what you're
No, I
talking
forgot
about.
to, and I heard
I
also that
keep
the show
forgetting
was
that-
not good.
I keep forgetting that Secret Level exists.
It is a secret.
So, like, basically, there are 5 Mega Man characters mentioned, and 3 that appear on screen. Dr. Light and Mega Man appear on screen. Bomb Man, in his wacky giant form, appears on screen. Metal Man is referenced, and Wily is referenced.
Not
Dr.
roll.
Light talks about Wily, but if you had no idea who Wily was, it would just be like a guy, right? So that's already weird. There's no role. There's no Proto Man. There's not even, you don't even see, I don't even know if, I'll look again. I've watched this at least twice now. And I say at least because it kind of, I skipped around a bit, so like depending on how you count it.
I can't count.
We've established, I should have realized, we've established. I don't think, there's one scene where maybe Metal Man is like on a small screen and I just didn't see it.
Over
and
or
like
under?
a lot of the accoutrement of Mega Man is there. I like when like Rock is gonna pick up a tool and he like pops his hand off and he puts on a tool and it's like, oh, that's the variable weapon system, and it makes sense even if you don't know about that like backstory explanation about what leads Mega Man to have this ability to take the weapons of the bosses he defeats. It kind of just can look like just a cool robot thing that he can do. But also, like, if you know the lore, it's like, oh, cool, it's the lore. I'm pointing, it's the lore. And, like, I think the best emotionally resonant part that I think a lot of people have identified is there's the part where Bomb Man is attacking. And the way Bomb Man is attacking is, like, he's got this, and this is admittedly cool, where it pops out, like a bomb pops out of his shoulder into his hand, and then he holds it to throw it. And Mega Man freezes that, and right before it explodes Bomb Man's head, he apologizes. He's like, sorry. Like, he realizes what's happening and apologizes and feels bad. And it's like, that's okay. There's an emotional core there that you hit that does feel kind of unique to Mega Man. there are other cool things, like the fact that he did use that like ice thing that he attached as a tool on his hand as like a weapon, and it's like, oh, that's like kind of what he does in Mega Man, and it's like a precursor to it. But like there's also like not really much happens in it, right? Like the most impact, like the most action that happens is there's this little spider robot that's like taking over the brains of the robot, and that's what turns Bomb Man evil. And like Rock chases it up Bomb Man, and so he kind of hops up Bomb Man real quick, and like that's the most action that happens in the whole short, because once Bomb Man gets activated, he just kind of like stands there and throws a bomb, and then tries to throw a second bomb. His hand gets frozen and his head explodes because his hand is up next to his head because he's about to throw the bomb.
Sounds like a bad day for him.
It does. And it's like, so not really a whole lot is happening. It's not like the explosion is like, I guess, kind of cool, but like the movement spectacle isn't really there. I feel like a lot of the dialogue was pretty straightforward. Not, I don't know if I would quite say generic, but it kind of close. It didn't feel like there was a whole lot that felt unique to Mega Man. Because Mega Man's arc in this is that he wants to help. But like, him wanting to help is he already wants to fight. And I feel like that's not the like that's a way that you can take the character, and I think it's kind of what you're limited to in like a 5-minute short. But like the characterization of Mega Man in the greater lore is more of someone who like does not want to fight, but thinks that he has to. And that's a much more chunky idea to deal with that's more interesting. And also like the fact that Mega Man feels a connection to the robots because there's this weird Wily betrayal thing. Like the betrayal of Wily and Dr. Light's relationship is just like not there at all. And that's the other kind of like flavor that just makes it not like good guys fighting mad scientists. Like there's something there. And just like having Roll and Proto Man there. Like when people make a Mega Man references, like Proto Man is kind of the thing that they latch on to. So you just, in that short amount of time where you have to simplify it so much, it's just simplified down to its most generic state in a lot of ways. And so like the cool referencey stuff is just kind of in the set dressing. And it is good. It is well executed in that respect. But it means that like the meat and potatoes of the art piece has to stay in this sort of generic land of like, you are a hero, and like Rock's the hero because when the robot tries to take over his brain, he resists it and pulls it off. It's like, it's a well done shot, but like, oh, the good guy is so good that he can't be corrupted by evil. And it's like, that's not really something, that's more of a Mega Man X thing, if anything.
Yeah.
Then I always say that like people who get their hands on Mega Man, it feels like they want to make Mega Man X TV shows, and the only reason that they don't is that they don't know that Mega Man X exists.
Yeah,
Because like, what if Mega Man had these things? It's like, yes, we have that. It's called Mega Man X, and the world is set in Mega Man X is set up to answer the questions and to have the stories that you want to tell.
And even though the actual source material doesn't, as we've discussed
right, the source
in a
material,
lot of cases. Mega
Man X, again, we could get, I don't want to get super deep into it again because there's like 3 podcasts that are like this, but Mega Man X they desperately wanted Mega Man X to mean something, to say something, but then they never actually said anything, which means that it's ripe for storytelling because they seeded the narrative ground, but they didn't do anything with it. So you can, not only are all these story elements like there for you, but also there's no like canon to cling to that you have to like differentiate yourself from. You just use the same ingredients and then just actually do something with it. Anyway, so like it was good, but also not really what it didn't really regenerate my fandom fuel very much. So that's the Mega Man update. I would really like there to be more Mega Man. I know people are talking about this Capcom leak where there was like, I think it was like Mega Man Tyson or something. I don't know if that's anything. I would really like it to be something cool, but I don't know if I believe it. But I would be satisfied at minimum with this year with an announcement of a Legends collection in some form. If we could get an announcement for it, and it comes out in like February next year. Obviously, I like for it to come out this year, but I feel like just let us know that you're working on it, and then I'll feel better about Mega Man for a little bit longer. So that's everything about the future. We've predicted the entire future now.
And my
Let's
prediction is only
talk.
one game.
Let's talk
One
about...
game.
Yep. James only has one game. There's only going to be one game in the future.
Well, I'm not
It's too
not
bad.
good at counting.
Who is the last person to say a word? Or sorry, who hasn't said a word the most in this podcast?
Blue?
Probably.
Anna.
That's one of us, for sure.
It's one of you two. I talk too
Play
much.
rock paper scissors for it. All right, I'll call it out, and then when I finish, you say what you're gonna pick. Okay, ready?
Do I have to show my math on that?
I'm gonna say rock paper scissors, and then you say the thing. I'm not gonna say shoot. Okay, ready? Rock paper scissors.
Rockman.
Anna, you didn't say anything.
I know.
Well, you lose by
My
default.
brain did not let me.
You brain, Anna, I have the utmost respect for you and your brain, but you did just have to pick one of three things.
I know.
Okay. We'll let you deal with that.
We'll let you
Blue.
brain more.
Yeah,
Please
we'll let
do
your brain
not.
recover from having to select an option from three.
Who's
I should have known. I'm sorry. I put too much pressure on
You
you.
did, actually.
Mm-hmm. Blue, what video games have you been playing in recent times?
Ooh, where to begin? Obviously, there's Marvel Rivals that came out. I've
Mhm.
been playing a lot of that. I made it to gold
it-
in ranked.
Had any major updates since the last time you were on the podcast?
It came out, so I don't...
Was it not already out, or had
No.
you just played it before?
I played in the alpha and the beta.
Okay, so you've been playing it for a while, but now it's officially out.
Now they can't
What
stop
changed
me.
when it came out versus in the beta?
I think they got an extra 8 characters and some maps and game modes. And
Mhm.
also the store opened and the ranked reset, and now there's 20 million players at least. So a lot of...
That seems like a lot.
Yeah, it's been doing pretty well, I've heard.
That's only about 20 million more
People then have
players
made a Mega
than
Man movie
watch-
successfully.
I was going to say that are subscribed to GCDotNet.
Wow. And so that has been a thing. And also, now that 2024 is over, I have been playing some games from that year, as is GameCola tradition. And I know everyone really liked 2023. It was, I believe, a lot of people called it the biggest year in gaming for quite a while. Or since there had been years between that and a big year for gaming. And I'm going through some of the ones from last year, and when we do the GameCola Awards, it's going to be really hard to choose what I like the most, because in my opinion, as someone who has still not touched Baldur's Gate 3, 2024 might have been better than 2023, actually, because I played Mouthwashing. That is a masterpiece. I played 1000x Resist, or 1000 times Resist, and that is just a very, very good story, and it plays with the medium of being a video game, and it does some neat stuff. And is a good story. It's hard to talk about what it's about, because it is, when you get down to it, it's a story about life and humanity, and it has a lot to say about a lot of things. And I've also been playing Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, and that's just pure art, and everyone should play it, and it's good.
Yeah, the problem with these games is that I'm concerned that you're the only one who's going to have ended up playing them, and so none of them are going to make it into
That's
the
not
awards.
my fault. I can only say these are the best games ever so many times, and everyone ignores me, and that's not my fault.
I will say, a friend of mine just recommended and then gifted to me 1000X Resist.
Ooh. They're very nice.
Game
They
of the
are.
Year contender. By virtue of two GameCola people having played it.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I mean, it could be. You never know.
All right, Anna.
Hi.
I've learned from my mistakes. So instead of making you pick between several options, I will just read off of your Discord profile what video games you've been playing in recent times.
Please don't do this. I can remember
Manor
what
Lords?
games I've played.
So how's Manor Lords, Anna?
So funny enough, you chose the one that I have not played a lot of. So good job.
You played it 3 days in a row.
Yeah, because I was trying to see if it would work on my computer, on my new laptop. It didn't want to work on my laptop.
But see, that's a fun story for the podcast.
Hey,
Okay,
everyone,
how
my
about-
laptop said, no, you cannot play Manor Lords, you have to use your PC.
Okay, what about Balatro? You were just playing that yesterday as well.
So that is one
And
I have
also-
been playing a lot of. Over Christmas, I was at my grandma's, and my cousin, who I stole both a Hamtaro game and a Pokemon Emerald from when we were children, told me to try out Balatro, and my friend Benny, who's also is in the Discord, has been playing a lot of it. So I finally went, okay, I will, because I have a subscription to Apple Arcade, and I have it for free, technically. So I've been playing a lot of it, and I cannot stop. And my sister also started playing it, and Cam also started playing it. And now everyone is obsessed, because
So is
my
it
cousin.
a good video game?
Yeah.
Or a video game that you
ruined
can't
your
stop
life.
playing?
No, I'm having a great time. It's like a card game. It's I think on its store page or a description somewhere that I saw, it's a mix between poker and solitaire. Which I guess that seems right.
But there's wild cards with magic powers, right? And you're like chaining combos and stuff.
Yes.
And you have to like make enough points to continue your streak.
Right. Yes. And if you don't, you have to start. It's like a roguelike too. That's also another part. It's like a card game that's also a roguelike.
Which surprisingly is not that in and of itself is not a particularly unique descriptor. There's actually a lot of card game roguelikes.
Really? I didn't know that.
Not to say that this isn't. Yeah,
Slay
I mean
the
not quite in
Spire.
this format.
Oh, you're
But
right. Slay the
it's-
Spire. That is one.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that spun off of Slay the Spire. I was watching a video, I cannot remember who it was, but they were doing some Steam charts and showing that, like, card game roguelike it's definitely spiked after Slay the Spire.
It's cool for me who does not want to play Slay the Spire.
That's one of the key benefits of Balatro, then.
Yeah, pretty much.
It allows me to continue not playing Slay the Spire.
But Cam really likes deck building games, so I'm glad that he's starting to play it and not playing as much Slay the Spire. Because Slay the Spire is on his phone, and he can actually do other
I mean,
things.
Balatro could be on your phone.
Balatro is on my phone. It's not on his, though. I've been playing
I
Balatro this
see.
entire time, by the way.
Not according to Steam. Steam's lying to me. Oh, not Steam.
You can't see
Discord.
my phone. It's on my
I
phone.
mean, you have Discord on your phone.
Yeah, but it's not going to tell you what I'm playing.
Well, that's a failure on Discord's part. What about House Flipper 2?
I tried to open it today, and that didn't work.
This says you tried it an hour ago.
Yes, I tried to open it an hour ago.
It didn't go well?
Mm-mm.
That's too bad. So, James,
Yes.
I hate you.
why? What?
Wow, how rude, Anna.
What have I done? I let you talk about 3 video games. Are there other video games you wanted to talk about, Anna?
I've also been playing a lot of, shoot. Well, now
It's
I
my
forgot.
favorite video game.
I've been playing a lot of 2 Point University, and that's been fun. I'm sure there are other games, but now they're gone.
Mhm.
Oh wait, Disney
Dustin
Dreamlight
Land.
Valley I've also been playing a lot of.
Is
Still
that
no
the
Winnie the
Animal
Pooh.
Crossing like game?
Mm-hmm. Winnie the Pooh's
Okay,
still not in it.
my
Are other Winnie the Pooh characters in it, but just
No.
not Pooh?
well, it's because if they ever want it to sell in China, they can't have him.
That's true, yeah.
But anyone can put Mickey Mouse in their video game now. There's like 13 whole cartoons in the public domain now, including one where he talks
And now
like
there's
this.
Popeye.
He talks in a falsetto, so you can do this with your Mickey Mouse characters now, and it's not copyright infringement.
Oh man.
I'd be
You
really
sound
happy
disappointed, James.
I'd be really
I
happy.
am
when he
Tell
disappointed.
me,
plays
tell
in the
me, public domain Mickey Mouse about your troubles.
It's me, public domain.
It's me, public domain Mickey Mouse. You can tell me anything, because I cannot use my copyright powers on it.
except
For I
that
belong to
you're calling
everybody.
yourself Mickey Mouse, which is a trademarked term, which is not expired.
True.
But by prefacing it with public domain, I clearly distinguish myself from the corporation known as Disney, therefore avoiding the key thing about trademarks, James. You think I don't know? You think I spent 95 years in copyright prison and I never looked up how trademark works, James?
Yeah.
I'm crying.
Good. That's the sign of effective therapy.
Oh boy.
Wow, I can't believe public domain Mickey Mouse is a licensed therapist.
I can be anything now that I'm
as
free
someone
from
who
my
does
corporate
therapy, by the
overlords.
way, both true and very not true.
Agreed, as someone who also does therapy. Ugh.
James, what video games have you been playing in recent times?
I have been playing, in what little spare time I have, I've started playing the Metaphor Re Fantasio, which is the new game from Atlas, the makers of the Persona games, and so far, it appears to be a Persona game, just with a different aesthetic, and mixing in some interesting gameplay mechanics from Atlas's other RPG works, like the Shin Megami Tensei series. The battle system uses what is effectively the press turn system, which I don't know if I've explained that fully, but basically your allies' turns, your round in combat where your allies can take actions, can be extended by exploiting weaknesses or getting critical hits. And your round of combat can be shortened by getting a bad weakness, that is having your attacks not resisted against, but nullified or absorbed by the enemy, or by missing. And the same goes for the enemies. Their round of combat can be extended if they successfully exploit your weaknesses. Which is not exactly how Persona does it. In Persona, if you hit an enemy's weakness and you knock it down, and that character in your party gets another action, and as long as you continue hitting weaknesses on enemies that you have not already attacked, that same character can continue getting another action. But in the press turn system, if you exploit a weakness, the battle moves on to the next character in line. And if you go through all of the characters, it will return to the start of the list and keep going down your allies. And you can only extend your combat to basically double its original length, which is, you have 4 characters, let's say. If you hit a weakness, then you have a little icon which shows how many turns you have remaining. That icon shrinks and gets cut in half. Then the next person that attacks uses the remaining half, and then it moves on. And anyway, it's a subtle difference, but it means that gameplay flows differently because you're not bound to using the same character over and over. You actually are forced to switch to the next character, which means there's in my mind, there's more strategy involved because recent Persona games have made it so that when you get an extra attack as a character, you can now hand off the attack to a character of your choice, which gives you more flexibility and makes it really easy to just chain this whole exploit system. But forcing the combat to just continue moving in the turn order, even if you're doing well, and basically just giving your party as a whole more actions means you have to think about things more, and it's very interesting. And then there's also different gameplay elements of you sort of have this like monstrous sort of spirit that you summon, which is a little bit like Digital Devil Saga, which I don't want to get into in great detail. One, because I haven't played a ton of it, but also because it would just expend this whole rambling that I'm going on. But that game has been fun. It's been interesting. The aesthetic is fascinating, and the mix of gameplay that they have been using so far is interesting. And I really wish I had more free time to play the game, because I just keep getting pulled away from it by other games, like Mario and Luigi Brothership, which I have also been playing. Only a very, very little bit. I probably have like 30 or 40 minutes into the game, and most of that is just reading dialogue and like doing like 5 battles as Mario, and that's it. I just got Luigi. We just went off to the first island, or basically the first world of the game, and that's where I stopped playing last. So I unfortunately don't have too much to say about it, other than I think the animation looks phenomenal. It is odd to hear the new voice actor for Mario and Luigi, but also I feel like they're doing a great job so far as Mario and Luigi. It's interesting to hear the sort of gibberish speak that Mario and Luigi do in the Mario and Luigi series. That like yeah, yeah, that basically. So it's been interesting to hear that come from a slightly different rendition of Mario and Luigi's voice, but like I have to give credit to this voice actor, and of course Nintendo, for picking this voice actor to be the future voice of Mario and Luigi. They do a pretty damn good job. Like, you can tell it's not the same, but it feels very similar, and I like that. And
is it the same voice actor for both of them now?
It always has been.
Right, I know. That's why I said now, though. Like,
yes, it's
when Martinet retired, did they get one person to do both?
Yes.
Okay, yes, that's true.
Yes, it is. It's the same person doing Mario and Luigi. And I think I don't know about Wario and Waluigi because they have not yet been in. I don't actually. These like the latest Mario Party, I guess, might be that might have the new voice. I don't know. I have not
think it
played.
is.
Interesting. Then I wonder if it's the same person doing Wario and Waluigi because they've got to be in the game. So, God, it's been so long since I played a Mario Party. I should. There's a lot of game genres I have just not played in years because I have been very, very focused on RPGs, big giant RPGs, and also games like Minecraft and Kerbal Space Program, which just consume dozens and dozens of hours of my time, and also just kind of pulling my attention away from a lot of different game genres. I feel like for the new year, a resolution I should make should probably be to try exploring game genres that I haven't played in a while. Party games, platformers, puzzle games, all those kinds of things, and trying those out more.
Speaking of video games that you haven't played in video game genres that you haven't played in recent times, I played at a work party. We played Mario Kart, and like when you sit down with a group of people you've never played Mario Kart with before, and you're like, where do I sit on the scale here?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how much? And like when you sit down and you realize, like, oh yeah, I won every single race.
Oh, good.
In Mario Kart. It's like, okay. I don't know if anyone's gonna want to play Mario Kart with me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But then the other game we played was Overcooked 2. which was I've seen people play Overcooked a lot and the chaos of it, and it is quite fun. Just like, you know, throwing food around and like the times where like people are like arguing about like we got to do this, and you're like, I'm just gonna go over here and wash dishes and no one will yell at me. Not in a mean way, like in all in good fun, but it's just like, you know what, I'm just gonna let them figure that out, and I'm gonna cook rice. That's gonna be my thing for now. But yeah, other than that, didn't do. I played Gen 3 OU on Pokemon Showdown, which I don't think anyone wants to hear me talk about. Did you know Doug Trio is not that good of a lead, but definitely an interesting lead because you can take out Metagross, but only if you have a Magneton, because there's no Doug Trio set that will one-hit KO Metagross, any standard Metagross set.
Wait.
If Metagross basically has any HP EVs, Doug Trio is not strong enough.
So Doug
So you
Trio
need
is
Magneton.
OU?
Oh, Doug, yeah, because it's got Arena Trap.
Oh, see, I know very, very, mind you, I know almost nothing about competitive Pokemon, but I know that OU, these are abbreviations. If no one has heard that term, or OU is overused.
Overused is the main tier.
Yeah. Which
So
considering they're called
that's all we
overused,
need
you
to
would
know.
think that's intended to be derogatory, and that they're saying that you shouldn't be using this because like I've always found that weird that overused is like the top tier, and I'm like, well, then they're not overused; they're properly used. They're used for reason. They're for good reason.
Doug Trio has Arena Trap, which prevents your opponent from switching out, which is really important in competitive. So important that in most other generations, so Generation 3 is Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Fire, Red, Leaf, Green. So the mechanics in that set, in those games. And then the Smogon Pokemon Showdown Online maintains like the main tier of every single generation, because they'll do like tournaments where they'll be like, oh, you know, you have a team, but like each member of the team specializes in one generation's format. But Arena Trap is banned in most games OU because it's banned in most things in general, actually, because switching is just so important that it's usually kind of cheap. But it wasn't established basically because the Trio was the only thing that got it. And you can switch out of Arena Trap if you levitate or can fly. If you're immune to ground moves, you can switch out of Arena Trap. But the big Pokemon, the main Pokemon that's in Gen 3 is Tyranitar. And so having Doug Trio as a check/counter to Tyranitar is useful. Otherwise, Tyranitar would be too powerful. So they left it in. See, this could be a whole podcast, and I don't want to make it the whole podcast, so I'm going to pull back. But like, that's the kind of thing now you understand what I choose not to subject you to, all the different months that I've played Pokemon Showdown, and I hope you appreciate that, GameCola faithful. Because Anna, Blue, did that mean anything to you?
Yes.
When you just said it, yes. When you first started talking, no. No idea.
At what point did it click?
When someone first said overused, and I went, okay.
I
was like, okay, now
that
actual language is being spoken now, and I can understand it.
Oh, you should listen to like the replay commentaries where they're like, oh yeah, the Ments, switching the Ments for the EQ, that makes sense. But now he's trapped, so, you know, gonna go boom. That's the other thing. Explosion, the Pokemon move Explosion was much more powerful in earlier gens, so generations, Anna.
Thank you. I promise I'm not that stupid. I'm having a rough night.
No, that was the point. I was trying to use lingo. But yeah, Explosion. You can if you want a tier where it is strategically optimal to sacrifice one Pokemon for the sake of taking out another Pokemon, and the way you do that is by clicking a button that says Explosion. Gen 3 is a pretty good one for that.
Joe, you need to do what we really need is a side podcast for GameCola, which is Joe Explains Competitive Pokemon.
I would do it.
You should.
But I would need people to care about it.
I mean, I like I don't do any modern Pokemon. So like having it be Gen 3 at least is something where all of the Pokemon I can understand, all of the moves I can understand, all of the mechanics and concepts I can understand. So like while I'm not someone who I think would ever probably play competitively, I've also like just that's also just my stance on like playing competitive type games. They're not for me, but I'm interested in learning the strategy and like the mechanics and the thought process behind it in some cases. So that might be something I would be curious to listen in on and learn more about.
So what you're saying is we should do a video series where I teach you how to play Pokemon Showdown.
Honestly, I would be down for that.
If you had any time between
Yes.
your various playthroughs that you're trying to schedule along with your new full-time job.
That is true. That is the rub. However, honestly, like again, on the topic of going outside my comfort zone and trying new things for gaming, heck yeah, I would totally be interested in at least trying to learn how to play competitive
I would
Pokemon.
want to teach all of GameCola how to do Pokemon Showdown so that I could have people
to play against.
have not strangers to play with.
That sounds like fun, honestly, and that's
'Cause
part of what
sometimes
I would like.
strangers are mean.
Yeah, see,
like,
that's one of the other reasons why
"You
I
did
don't
a
like
stupid
competitive
thing."
gaming, because I don't like playing
You did a
against strangers,
stupid
but I
thing
don't have
there.
any friends who I can play with.
End sentence.
I paused at just the wrong moment there.
I think about 10 years ago, you tried to teach me how to play, Joe.
Yeah, we did like a couple rounds of random battles.
Yeah.
And then you never asked for me to do it again.
Yeah.
Even though you won.
I did win. After saying...
So it wasn't like I beat you and you were like, oh, this isn't fun. I don't want to play if you're going to beat me. You were successful.
It's... Yeah, right
and
after saying, like, I don't think I'm going to be very good.
I saw, I conquered.
I don't think I'm going to be very good. And then I beat you and I was like, oh, sorry. I just forgot that it exists.
We need to end the podcast. In honor of promoting future things, Dragon Courier 2 is in the very early stages, but like moving forward-ish.
Well, not
right,
even in
James?
the early stages. I think we are hopefully going to start, well, I don't know when this would, so hopefully, fingers crossed, the week that you're hearing this podcast, or the week that this podcast goes live, we will hopefully be in the process of recording the first session. Hopefully.
Yeah, and that will be good, because I think that was a very popular and good series. All of them are good, but only some of them are popular. And that's just YouTube algorithm. I'm sorry, guys. I don't think Resident Evil screenshots make for good thumbnails. It's not your fault. The game just is not, like, you don't look at that in a rectangle and think, ooh, I want to click on that.
Yeah. Well,
Whereas, like, Dragon Courier is, like, bright and shiny and colorful, and you're like, oh, it's a slime! And then you go, boop, and you click on the video.
Just like that.
And yet, that first episode of Resident Evil 1 Classic is still climbing.
That's Google search results. It's all external Google search results. And I think it's people just watching the cuts. Like, I think they do tend to stick around a little bit, but like, they're coming here, they're finding it. I think it must be, you know how sometimes when you do a Google search and it like shows you a YouTube video, but it like sections it off,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
right? Of like, this is the thing that I think you're looking for. I feel like it's something like that, where people are like Resident Evil 1 cutscenes. Or maybe like with commentary or something, and they end up there.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like very biased. Like usually there's like a gradual trend down, or like a trend down and then a stable retention. But like there's a weird kind of like bump in it, which makes me think that there. And when I go into that weird bump, it's like cutscenes are happening.
Yeah, maybe.
So I feel like there's some weird algorithm thing mixing in, but it makes like $1 a month now. So
Nice.
Wow.
Well, but that's in November and December. So it probably will not continue into January.
We'll have to see. And that reminds me, I also need to get back with Blu and record more Resident Evil Remake, because I have been so busy. I have not had a chance to actually do that.
Yeah.
Anna, what long form video series are you planning for this next year?
Coffee
wants
talk?
to play video games with me.
Anna, coffee talk.
Oh, yeah, we still need to do coffee talk, which is something we talked about when the game first came out years ago.
But did you coffee about it?
No, James,
I'm coughing.
We need to both grab some coffee individually.
That's a Pokemon. It all ties together.
We've come full circle.
We did it. So yeah, eventually we'll do that.
honestly,
But James is also doing like 8 million other things, so
this
I'll
is
just
true. It is difficult to schedule many different recordings while also now having a full-time job, whereas previously with all of these series, I did not have a full-time job to contend with. So there's that.
I think the answer is you need to quit your job, James.
Yep, I need to... Well, see, this is clearly why people make YouTube and podcasting their full-time job.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, with Resident Evil
so
1...
you can get the
making $1 a month, maybe I can do it.
Of revenue. Can you live on the 25 cents of revenue a week?
Listen,
can you just live on
I
that
just
instead
gotta
of your
keep.
full-time salary?
I just gotta keep hoping that the Resident Evil 1 Classic Episode 1 just keeps earning us $1. I just gotta keep hope that line keeps going up.
Yeah,
you know, and then eventually I'll be making $1 million.
Yeah.
$12 per year.
But that'll be because of inflation. It won't be because the video's not. It's just like $1 million.
No, we just want
like
the one
$1.
line to go up, Joe, not the other line of inflation. We gotta.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was. Oh no, I did the wrong line.
You increased the wrong line, Joe. Ugh.
Jeez.
Now you've ruined the economy.
The economy is wrecked.
Those eggs that were too expensive, my fault.
Yep.
I did
This
that.
will not be good for the economy.
Thank you for listening to the edition of the GameCola podcast that ruined the economy. You found it. You found the source. This is what happened.
It was
We're
Joe's
sorry.
fault the whole time.
It was my fault the whole time. If you liked what you heard, check us out on our actual internet website, GameCola.net, our YouTube channel, GC.net, the letter G, the letter C, the word dot, the word net. You can check out the original Dragon Warrior playthrough. It's just called Dragon Warrior because they're lame. You can watch that and get caught up so that when the next series pops up, you're caught up on all of the lore and details or the Resident Evil stuff that we were talking about. There's also tons of other podcasts, which you can also see on the podcast feeds, like on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or any of the other things that scrape podcast RSS feeds and then pop it up somewhere. We've got a Discord. You can find links on the website or in the YouTube episode description. You can follow James, Anna, and I on Blue Sky. I think, James, are you just James Pelster?
I think so. I don't really use social media.
I'm Joseph Martin.
So, like, I'm
just Joseph Martin because I've never gotten to be that.
Yeah, no, not as my username. My username is CS101.
Okay.
Which,
and
like,
Anna, you're like
again,
Stella Rose 24?
412.
14? 412.
And then
That's a weird year to be born.
My name
Good year.
currently is Snow and then Angel, ANNGEL. So that's what it's going to be probably until February.
So 2 podcasts.
Yeah.
From now.
After that, good luck.
Very evergreen. You can probably find it by just cross-referencing. If you find one GameCola person, you can just cross-reference it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And find the others. Thank you for listening to this episode of the GameCola podcast. Have a wonderful time of day, wherever it is, whenever it is you are listening to this podcast. And we will see you next month. Goodbye!
Bye!
Bye.
Bye.
Joe, I don't actually hate you. I'm sorry.
What have I done? What did I do this time? Oh, you don't. The way your microphone cut
Yeah,
out,
I just
so
heard
Joe,
I
actually
hate
hate you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I see. I was gonna say, was it the rock paper scissors? Was it the Mickey Mouse voice? Was it telling everybody about the video games you couldn't get to work on your computer? There's many options, many acceptable options.